I do fear for my life. Like, I'm constantly in paranoid, watching behind me and stuff. I'm actually afraid to walk by myself.
We are following a developing story out of Northeast Miami-Dade. That's where a rabbi was shot and killed.
Two teenagers never made it to a party at a synagogue in Greenbelt. They were shot just a short distance away from the Michigan Torah Synagogue.
NYPD officers shot and killed a man who stabbed a student inside a synagogue in Crown Heights.
There have been 4 attacks against the Orthodox Jewish community in a week.
Sticks and hurling racial slurs. 3 people are charged with beating a Brooklyn man.
Police are searching for the suspect in a possible hate crime after a young Jewish man was stabbed in Crown Heights.
A solar worker is in the hospital this morning after he was slashed in the back.
Is the story of Purim just an ancient biblical tale, or is there a message for us, for the Jewish people in the world today that we must listen to? 2,200 years ago, an official government decree was issued against the Jewish people. Genocide. From young babies to the elderly, all the nation of Israel would be killed, murdered in one day. But what was so shocking was not the decree itself, for we've faced this decree many times in our history. What was so shocking was the reaction of the Jews of Persia. The book of Esther says, Va'ir Shushan Nevocha, and the Jews of Persia were confounded, were confused, were disoriented. How could such a thing happen to them? They were the most patriotic Persians of their time. They were the first to RSVP for the grand banquet of the king, in which the vessels of the temple were being used. But they said, we must RSVP, we must go. We can't be separate and set ourselves apart, for they may call our patriotism into question. And despite their patriotism, the decree of genocide. Think of the Jews in pre-Holocaust Germany. The Jews of Germany were the most patriotic. Germany is our Israel, Berlin is our Jerusalem, they would say. They were the most integrated, they were assimilated, they were intermarried, they were in the top of the arts, the sciences, politics. More Jews died fighting for the fatherland in Germany in World War I than in all the wars of Israel combined. How could such a thing happen to them? Now here's the deal. I'm sharing this message with you, my fellow Jews around the world, from a place of love. For as Jews, we're not merely the same religion, we're quite literally the same family. Our sages compare the Jews to a group of people that are all in the same boat in the middle of a raging sea. And one man takes out a sledgehammer and starts slamming a hole right under his chair. And everyone says, what are you doing? Don't do that. And he says, this is my chair. I can do what I like right here. We're all in the same boat together. Our fate is one, and we're all responsible for one another. Now, when you're in a family and something needs to be said to your brother, even if he's going to write you off as crazy, even if he doesn't want to hear it, especially when he doesn't want to hear it, that's when it must be said. And as the Jewish people in the land of Israel, it is our responsibility to sound an alarm to our Jewish brethren all around the world that it's time to come home. Now, it's no secret. Jews around the world are in tremendous danger. Jews throughout Europe, in England, in France, there are attacks, there's rampant anti-Semitism. Jews are flocking to Israel, not necessarily all of them from Zionism, many of them just because it's the only safe place left for them. To our fellow Jews in America, you're in more danger than any Jews are anywhere else in the world for the simple reason that you don't feel how much danger you're truly in. Historically, when there's food on the table and a roof over the head, well, Jew hatred remains passive. It remains dormant. But in the volatile world we live in today, one destabilizing event can throw the entire world economy into chaos, America's economy into chaos. And when there are bread lines, when there are runs on the bank, well, it's just a matter of time until fingers are pointed at the Jews. We see an authoritarian thirst growing in America today. And for that spirit to turn against the Jews, well, you don't need to look that far into history to see how that turns out. We usually travel the world sharing a positive, uplifting, inspiring message about Israel, an inviting message of Israel, telling Jews how Israel is the most dynamic and exciting place for a Jew to live, with a thriving economy. We're waking up and just breathing the air of Israel. You're part of that Jewish mission. You're on the forefront of Jewish history. But that positive and inviting message is simply not enough for the times we're living in right now. The Jews of America are in tremendous danger, and we're sounding the alarm, letting you know that it is time for you to come home. We're waiting for you with open arms and open hearts. from Reform to Conservative to Orthodox to assimilated to unaffiliated. It doesn't matter where you stand. If you're a Jew, the land of Israel is your home. And it is time to get out of America before it's too late, before the gates are shut, before the doors are closed. Come now. The question many people ask, why does the book of Esther make it into the Tanakh, into the Jewish Bible? The book of Maccabees is about Hanukkah, it doesn't make it in. Well, in order for a book to make it into the Tanakh, into the Jewish Bible, it can not only be historically relevant, but it has to be prophetically relevant. A message to us for the future. And just as the Jews of Persia were caught unawares, not ready, not prepared, not cognizant of the danger they were facing, let us learn from their mistake. Let us open our eyes and come back to the land of Israel.